Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fairfield County SCORE's live webinar on how to grow your business in a VUCA environment. I'm Bud Freund, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I will be your host. Our speaker today is Filson Thomas. More on our speaker in just a minute. This webinar is being done in collaboration with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce and the Monroe Library, and I believe Beth Stoller has a few things to say about that. Beth?
Thanks, Bud. Good morning, everybody, or actually, good afternoon. It's noon. I'm Beth Stoller. I'm Operations and Event Manager at the Monroe Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, the Edith Wheeler Library, and SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's Lunch and Learn. For over 4 years, we three organizations have come together to bring you great business-driven topics to help you learn and grow as business professionals. And I can speak from experience. You're in for a real treat. Today's speaker has been with us before. I looked it up. The last time he was with us was in 2019. So we are very much long overdue to hear his business wisdom. Filson Thomas, you want to not only listen to today, but I know he's going to provide an opportunity for you to reach out and keep in touch with him. He's a John Maxwell graduate and has many tools and resources to help you at any stage in your business. And I know he's going to be providing you with an opportunity to reconnect. I can't wait to hear to learn about what a VUCA environment is all about. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Bud, so we can get to today's program. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Beth. A few quick things about SCORE. We are one of 240 offices nationwide with over 10,000 volunteers, and we're part of the Small Business Administration. Here in Fairfield County, we have about 100 volunteers able to provide information on a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer 3 primary value-added services for small business owners. First, free one-on-one counseling, face-to-face, telephone, email, video, there's lots of choices now, which can be accessed via the Request Mentor link on our website or via the link on the screen. Please note, we're currently not doing face-to-face mentoring until further notice. We also do educational workshops and webinars like this, and we're around 150 a year. And finally, we've got extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject matter experts nationwide who are at your disposal. We have converted some of our in-person workshops to live webinars due to the national health crisis, so look for specifics on our website for that. Some other useful information. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It is located in the lower part of your screen. And our webinar will end at 1 p.m. to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be available at fairfieldcounty.score.org within the next couple of days. Now about our speaker. With over 15 years of corporate experience, coupled with a master's in computer science and a certified project management professional, Filson brings the best practices and success knowledge from Fortune 100 companies to serve small and medium business customers. He is currently a certified coach and transformation consultant, focusing on assisting SMB clients in reaching their goals. Filson's expertise includes strategic planning, business transformation, leadership development, and people transformation. Filson functions as an executive director with Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, the world's top leadership development company. He is a certified coach, trainer, consultant, and presenter, and has led and served on numerous nonprofit boards in leadership positions. I'll now turn it over to Filson. It is all yours.
Right.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Bud. Thank you for that great introduction. First of all, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to another session with Monroe Chamber of Growing the Small Businesses. I want to take this opportunity to thank Beth. Thank you for this another opportunity to be with you all, and also to Bill Presley. Good to see some of my old friends here in the meeting right now, and very excited to see Ron Bellano here. So it just kind of it's good to be here. Beth didn't realize it was in 2019 that I came, and of course we had a fabulous time, and I'm excited to be back here. And as we were speaking, I was really looking forward to have a face-to-face and interactive session. And that's when when I found out this is going to be purely web-based and especially webinar, you know what? It is what it is. That's what we deal with, right? So we are in a VUCA world, and that's the topic today. And I want to just dive in a little more into the VUCA world. And as Bud mentioned, please engage in the chat. I would really like to hear your questions. I would like to understand your responses. In fact, I submitted a link there, and if you submit your questions on the chat, using that link, I'll be monitoring that. And if you submit your questions, we'll try to address those questions. And not just that, you will also be put into a raffle that you will be qualifying for an assessment. It's an amazing assessment. It looks at your behavior, looks at your driving forces, it looks at your acumen, it looks at your competencies, and that it's worth it. It's a great investment. So before I get into the session, as you can see, English is not my first language, and it always gets challenging. And I understand English can be a little complicated, and not everything is very clear when it comes to English. So there was this, are you familiar with Toastmasters? During the Toastmasters competition in the World Championship final in London, one question that was posted was, what is the difference between complete and finish? So everybody tried giving different answers, and then finally Mr. Shyam Sundar from Guyana, who won the championship, he came and gave the answer, and he said, well, when you're married to the right person, you're complete. And if you're married to the wrong person, you're finished. And then he went on to add, if the right person finds you with the wrong person, you're completely finished. I thought that was absolutely funny. And it's even funny that I'm sitting here and laughing at my own joke. Well, that tells you who I am, right? My personality. So I really want you to hear with the audience. I will have a question to ask. How many of you consider yourself as leader or want to be a leader? Show of hand, yes, or something post on the chat, I'm a leader, or I want to be a leader. I know you can chat with your responses, will be only see, all right, I'm seeing one response. Anyone else says I'm a leader? Anyone who says I'm a leader or want to be a leader? Interestingly, when I pose this question, many people feel really threatened, they feel challenged, and they're not sure if they're a leader. And I've learned many definitions of leadership. And one of the definitions that I like the most is leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. If you can influence someone, you lead them. If you cannot lead, you cannot lead. If you cannot influence, you do not lead them. And that's what we have seen often with many companies. Many people come and say, hey, they get promoted and they become a manager, they get a title, and they say, hey, I'm a leader. I became a leader. No. you became a manager. Good news is your title, your position gives you certain level of influence. So you have a certain level of leadership capability. But then if with the title, if you do not have an influence with your team, guess what? You're still not a leader. The person with the influence is a leader. And I often find when I'm working with self-employed solopreneurs and I ask, are you a leader? There's a big hesitation in saying that I'm a leader. But let me ask you another question. You know, it's so funny. One answer response came, said that I'm saying I'm a leader and I'm bragging. No, you're not bragging. You're definitely not bragging. So, but let me ask you another question. How many of you think you are an influencer? If you think you are an influencer, say yes or no, I'm an influencer. Right? So one response. Because if you are, there are just everyone, we influence our family, we influence our children, you influence your spouse. If you are in business, your sales process is an influencing process. You influence your client, right? Every conversation that you're engaged in is a sales process and you're influencing your client. So once we understand we are an influencer, we should realize that we are a leader, right? So that's where we're just coming into. I would really appreciate if we can get more responses. But let's move on, right? So today's topic is how to grow your business in a VUCA environment. And it's so funny. The term VUCA is a word, very weird term. Even when I heard that for the first time, I'm like, what on earth is VUCA? So VUCA basically stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So this, you see, back when the USSR was strong and the Russia and that USSR and America, the whole tension that was going on, USSR was trying to build a communist colony and America was building a capitalist colony. So there was a tension, the Cold War that all of us are aware of, and some people are too young, may not be, but might have heard of. And that time, it was very clear what the war is about. There's a colony that's been made with the communism versus with the capitalist economy being built. However, once the Cold War got over, there was a lot of uncertainties around. That's the time we saw the birth of a lot of terrorist groups. That's what's happening. That was a time we saw the birth of a lot of other dictators and many other things that was happening. And that time, the military came out with a term and they called it, this environment that we live is a volatile, they are uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And someone just threw all the acronym together and they came out with what? They came out with VUCA, and you hear VUCA and you're like, what? What does even that mean? So that's what the whole term VUCA is about. So VUCA, but then after some time in the recent past, the business took over this term from the military. And now we realize we are in a situation, we are in an era, we are in a world, the business world, which is VUCA. We see a lot of volatility, and it's because of the increased rate of change. Now, it's the current environment is so unstable, it's always hard to protect. I am not sure the chat is disabled. If you have any, that's great. Let's see. So volatile and it is hard to protect. So hard to predict. So it's important that we be ready. We are always ready to face this volatility. And the second environment we live in is uncertainty. There's the present is unclear, and the future is absolutely uncertain. We are in times where no one can predict what will happen very clearly. This was very hard pre-COVID, but the post-COVID made it more difficult. And through COVID, it became more difficult. And in the post-COVID, with all the inflations that we are seeing, it becomes even more challenging. In fact, most of the economists, they are forecasting, and if they are to be believed, they say that recession is way ahead of us. Now, I was just looking at one of the stats that are 80% of the small business owners, they are struggling and they are threatened not knowing how to face recession because they are preparing themselves for this recession. And if you are a small business owner, which I would really wish to hear from you, see, one of the things that happens, especially during time of recession, almost 60% of businesses shut down during recession. However, only 20% of demand gets shut down. So now what happens is there are 40% of businesses, they are serving 80% of demand than what we are seeing today. So even through the recession, the opportunities are there. There are tremendous opportunities for growth. But you have to be strategically a little different. So we are looking at that complexity, the uncertainty, and the C is your complexity, where you have to make multiple key decision factors, right? There are many different interconnected factors come into play. Right. So even for many people, they're looking at the loan they want to take, or what you made a forecast, and suddenly there was you made a budget and allocation, and the inflation hit, and all of a sudden the price of the raw material went up. There were the supply chain that got impacted, and there are so many moving parts because of which the complexity has gone in. And because of all these interconnected factors that come into play, it causes a tremendous potential to cause chaos and confusion. And then the last thing is, in VUCA, the last word is A, which is ambiguity. And that's a world we are in, where there may be no right answer, right? There is a lack of clarity and awareness of the situation that brings a tremendous challenge that we are looking at. Oh, great, Ron, thank you very much. The chat's working. So now, when you look at a VUCA environment, the only way we can, I don't know if everyone was seeing, I just want to post that link again. And just to make sure that if you have questions, you can post that the business challenges. Actually, you can put them in the chat also. But if you put in the chat, we should be able to answer it. But if you put in that, I think you would also qualify for the raffle. So that is a big thing. So I'm seeing there is no new questions have come there. Okay. We are in a time, see, change is the only thing that is constant. Change is the only thing that is constant. Interestingly, when you look in the past, they were talking about, I was reading a speech from from the Woodrow Wilson. He was talking about how things are changing, and because it's changing, you have to move according to the times. And it's so funny, if that's what was spoken then, the change today is so much more. And the two quotes from looking at the Bruce Lee said that all fixed set patterns are incapable of adaptability and pliability. The truth is outside of all fixed patterns. Similarly, a Chinese proverb, a wise man adapts himself to circumstances as water shapes itself to the vessel that contains it. So you have to change. Now, when we're talking about change, I just want to speak on two words. I think that's very important to address those two words. The first word is called conform. And the other word is transform. You see, conformity is not same as transformation. Conformity, or to conform, I believe is very negative term. It's like things are happening and it's a negative, it's very passive, where things are happening and you're just conforming to what's happening. But transformation, that's being proactive, that has been active. You heard the term of metamorphosis, where you look at a caterpillar, it goes through a cocoon and it transforms into a beautiful butterfly. A caterpillar cannot never conform into a beautiful butterfly. And change requires, and the transformation requires change. You have to change. Or, when it's saying die, it's of course not the physical death. We're talking about the business, the death of business. And many businesses, in fact, Small Business Administration, SBA, says that of most of the businesses that starts, almost 40% of business shut down in first 5 years. I was reading another report that said that only 20% businesses survive more than 10 years. You and I, we start the business, you are a visionary, you started the business, you have the desire, and it's our desire, it's the Monroe Chamber's desire, it's the SCORE's desire, it's our desire that you would be one of those 20% that would survive more than 10 years. You have dreams, you have desires, you have goals, you have ambitions, and you can do it. And what would need for that is change. If we continue with conformity, we cannot go there. We have to be transformed. And the notes here on the slide, it says, good leaders, agents, they adapt and shift. The world around you is changing. Are you changing? And that's essential to our growth. Oh boy, I'm just warming up and I realize my clock is ticking too fast. Bud and Beth, if you know I have a pill or system to stop the clock, I'll appreciate that. Just kidding. All right, let's move forward. So you have to change. So how can we make the change stick? Historical approach. I don't know if you can see my mouse pointer. In the historical approach, Beth says she's going to waive her time bond. Thank you, Beth. In the historical approach to change was always on the actions. There were the coaching, there was the Socrates method. They're all trying to say, hey, you have a certain actions. How can we change the actions? But then, the actions are always the results of behavior, and the behaviors are results of the assumptions, and the assumptions are the results of beliefs. So when we are talking about change, the transformation, and to survive in the VUCA world, the primary thing that we need to work on is what are our belief statements? I growing up in India, there were so many statements I've learned. It's like money doesn't grow on trees. Good thing comes to those who wait. Oh, one of the best statement I love is I've heard is like, early bird gets the worm, as if there is only one worm. No, there are plenty of worms. Hey, early bird gets a worm, afternoon bird gets another worm, evening bird gets another worm. Now, the difference is by the time the evening bird goes and gets a worm, the early bird would gather 3 worms or 4 worms. So you got a head start because God's creation, I believe, is perfect. God's creation is unique. And number 3, God's creation is in abundance. There is abundance in the opportunities. There are no 2 leaves alike. There are no 2 snowflakes alike. And I recently learned that there are no 2 zebra stripes that are alike. So it's unique, it's abundant. So first thing we need to change is our belief statement. And once we change our belief, our assumptions change, which in turn our behavior changes and the action changes, eventually changing the results. We heard this statement, insanity is continuing to do the same thing, expecting different results. All right. So, what are the 5? I love that, Ron. Ron, it says that changing the way a case is presented when every judge has different views. Well, here we go. Look at the way our attorney has spoken, right? With every situation, the change has to be the reality. Same approach, the same thing has to be approached differently. And I think I'm going to come back to that quote very soon. Now, there are 5 foundational skills that are for a change and growth that are required. So number 1, you have to continually learn, unlearn, and relearn. We have certain level of belief statements, and those beliefs are coming from the learning that we had so far. To change our belief, we have to unlearn few things. Oh, Rocky, I love that. Education plus application equals transformation. I love that. I love that statement, right? So you are learning it and you apply it, and that's what causes the transformation. So what do? We continue learn, unlearn, and relearn. Number 2, you have to value yesterday, but live in today. You see, you are honored for what you did yesterday, but you're respected for what you do today. With your great success you had in the yesterday, people will talk about it, they will honor you, but they will only respect you for what you are doing today. You know, you don't want to be a monument, right? You don't want to be a monument, right? You always say, sometimes you're a bird, sometimes you're a statue, and sometimes you're a pigeon, right? You know the difference. If you are a statue and monument, the pigeon will do what it needs to do, right? But you just have to, you're respected for what you're doing today. So you value yesterday, but live in today. Number 3, rely on speed, but thrive on timing. Rely on speed, but thrive on timing. They both are not same. Doing fast is not everything. Doing it right on the time makes a significant difference. And move forward courageously during uncertainty. And number 5, realize today's best will not meet tomorrow's challenges. Today's best will not meet tomorrow's challenges. So in all this, one thing you have to do, you have to be intentional. For our transformation, for our change, for our growth, we have to be intentional. And the law of intentionality says growth doesn't just happen. You know, growth is not an automatic process. If you're going to grow, you have to grow on purpose. You see, growing up, My mom gave me food. My teachers taught me some lessons. I would go to school. I would just eat, grow, and growth was an automatic process. I wasn't doing much. It was just going. I stick with the ritual and the norms, and I grew. And after growing up, now that I'm adult, I realized that only thing that grows automatically is my stomach. But for everything else, I have to be intentional, right? You and I have to be very intentional for our growth. I always said that only thing that grows automatically is my stomach. Everything else I have to be intentional till I heard. Then I had Zig Ziglar, and Zig Ziglar said, like, you know what? I grew to 200 pounds intentionally. And there's like, what do you mean by you gained 200 pounds intentionally? He said, because I never ate anything automatically. I was intentional about eating everything. And I'm like, whoa, here goes that philosophy also. But anyway, so you have to be intentional when it comes to growth. Think about it. Once a child is born, you're like, oh, such a cute baby. Oh, I love this baby. It's a 1 day old. Oh, so sweet, so cute. I'm so happy we got a baby here, right? And you leave baby on a side, go you have your way, happy way, merry way, and come back a week later to see what's happening with the baby. What will happen to the baby? It won't be a good news. Because this baby that's grown, as born, needs nurture. It needs care. It needs cleaning. It needs feeding. Guess what? Someone has to be intentional about the growth of this child, of this baby. Similarly, you and I who have businesses, you and I have dreams, you have ambitions, you have desires, you have business, you are looking to grow. But with those dreams, unless you are intentional about it, it's not going anywhere. You have to be intentional. It needs time. It has to be nurtured. So before I move on to my next slide, I want to pause here. Is there any question, any comments from what we shared so far? Thank you for those who are posting comments. Oh, how I wish we all were in a Zoom room. We could see each other, but then, all right. So we spoke about VUCA, right? The solution for VUCA is VUCA. The volatility and uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity can only be addressed through vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. You need to have a clear, so as we approach in the VUCA world, first thing we need is we need to have a clear vision. We need to have a clear goal. Let me ask one question before we go forward. With the group that is we have here in the 18, how many of you can have clearly defined, how many % would say I have a clearly defined goals? Please note that your comments are not seen by everyone. It's seen by panelists, so you can definitely answer. Awesome. One response came. I'm not sure, as they're always changing. That's the VUCA world, right? So that's a great statement. Actually, that leads to this space that we are looking at. We're talking about the goals. There was a time we were talking about SMART goal. SMART goal was a concept that was introduced in 1980s. And you would have heard many times about the SMART, so I don't want to dwell on that. So, but then the SMART has changed, and now we're looking at what we call as FAST goals. And the FAST goals, where the F stands for this, is frequently talked about. Your goals should be frequently talked about. So goals should be embedded in your frequent discussion to review progress, allocate resources, prioritize initiatives, and provide feedback. So for example, the business I'm part of, and we business partners, we get together once a week and we spend time, we are talking to each other. And every week we are rehashing and saying, hey, this is our goal. What are we trying to do about this? Well, you know what? The environment has changed, the time has changed, the challenge has changed. Yes, last month we spoke, we want to accomplish this, but we're going to change about it, the approach it. So let me be very careful about how I say it. Your goal, let's say you put a goal of $100,000 or $150,000 by end of the year. Right? And when you are submitting the goal of $150,000 for the end of the year, when the year goes by, what you're changing is not saying that, oh, I don't want 150, I want now 75. You don't change the goalpost. The goalpost stays there. But now you're changing on how you're gonna implement that. Right? So you need to have a clear goal, first of all. And the question comes is, are you doing your goals yourself or someone else is doing it for you? Right? So that plays tremendously important role. So that's where it comes with the frequently talked about. So one component is you're frequently talked about. Number two, your goal has to be ambitious. And what we mean by ambitious is it should be difficult, but not impossible to achieve. If you do not put goal ambitious enough, you won't have the drive to wake up. But if you put a goal far out, you know you cannot achieve, you won't even strive to do it. So it has to be frequently talked about. It has to be ambitious. It has to be specific. And specific meaning, it can be translated into concrete and tangible metrics. Right? It clarifies what are the expectations, who's supposed to do what. Everything is very clearly explained. And then goals should be transparent, where the goals and current performance should be made public for all employees and teams to see. Okay. I thought I saw a few comments, but they are the old comments. Okay. So that's what we're looking when it comes to the vision. The second part in the VUCA, we are saying the solution is uncertainty can only be addressed by understanding. Understanding is the antidote for uncertainty. Once you understand the situation you are in, once you understand all the moving components, moving parts, you will not have a complete clarity. Definitely, you will not have complete clarity. But based on the current situation, the challenges, once you have that understanding, it will make, you will start moving forward and addressing the uncertainty. And let me tell you one thing. Once you start moving forward, things will start clearing up much better for you. You know, it's like you take the car and let's say you leave your office or your home and you're going to the nearest mall or a strip mall or wherever you're going to the nearest store. And when you take your car and the night and you move forward, your headlight can only cover perhaps a certain level, maybe 100 or maybe around 20, 40 meters of visibility, right? And the rest of the visibility, as you move forward, the light will make it more and more clearer. And once you take the turn on the other side of the road, once you turn, you have no idea what is waiting ahead there for you. So, but once you start moving, you will start get a clarity of what's happening, all the understanding. And then the third thing is you need to have, of course, you need to have vision, you need to have understanding, and then you need to have a clarity. And I want to very quickly introduce a tool here. Clarity is, this is a tool that we use, and I think it's very helpful tool. It's called a Grippy Tool. And what the Grippy Tool is, the tool is based on simple model. It's basically, it says what the goals are, what the roles are, what the processes are, and who is responsible for it. It makes the team building activity, a team role very clear. And many a times, when you're looking at, people say like, hey, you know what, I'm a self-employed. So I really don't have too much, I don't have a team. And I don't think I need a Grippy tool. But this is something that is we all need. Because, when you are in doubt, whom do you talk to? When you do the goal setting, are you doing it yourself? Are you taking somebody's help? You see, mistake takes time, energy, and money, right? So when it comes from everything you do from goal, when it comes to decision making, when it comes to doing work, you never are doing it all alone. There is always a team. There is a group of people that are working with you. And when you're in doubt, why make a mistake? Bringing them help, bring a coach that can help you. You see, when you bring in a coach, it will only cost you dollars. Getting a coach is only $1 cost. But when you make a mistake, that is a cost that's like costs you time, it costs you energy, it costs you money. There's so many factors involved in it. So that's where it becomes very important that you are bringing in the right people. And once you bring your players into it, the decision makers, for sometimes it could be a spouse, it could be when you're down, the friend or the advisors you're going to, make a clear Grippy tool. It says like, who is responsible for what role? And then that would bring more clarity. And once you have clarity, the next part is you need to have agility. And agility will address the ambiguity. You have to have multiple choices. The big companies, especially in the times of recession and these areas, the big companies, they have a lot of reserves. We're talking about Teslas or Googles or Facebooks. They have enough reserve that they can reinvest and they can thrive. But I believe the second or the next group that will thrive through the upcoming, in these economic hardship times, also if a recession gets hit, the next group that would thrive would be entrepreneurs. I strongly believe it is the age of the entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs, you and I will thrive. The reason the entrepreneur will thrive is like, entrepreneurs are like those ankle biters. Those dogs, those small dogs that come and that bite the ankle, and you're like, they're so laser focused that nothing can move it. And they're so focused, and that's exactly how we work. They're like David fighting the Goliath, right? The huge challenge that's right there. They come in, they are laser focused. And to succeed as an entrepreneur, you don't not only need a will, you need to be able to think right? It's not just the will that's going to help us think, when it will help us think. They think well, the entrepreneurs think well because they don't have big cash reserve. And this 6 inches of real estate between our 2 ears, that is our greatest asset. I believe the biggest companies, the industry that would struggle is going to be mostly that mid-level companies. So you got the huge companies, they will find the middle companies, they're going to have struggle, and only way they can survive is if they start thinking as small businesses and get very clear and laser focused. This is a time you have to build your opportunities. You have to build choices. For our business, we put together a goal. We have a solution called EGOS, which is like enterprise growth operating system, and it's focused on, we primarily focus on like a 15 to 500 employee companies, and we're working with them now. But we have put ourselves a different goal right now. Our goal is to grow by around 50%. And by this year, we want to grow by 50%. And next year, we have put another bigger goal. And the 3-year goal we have put together, which is much larger goal. And what can we do about this growth? And one of the things that we were looking at with the current situation, recession opportunity, I said we had one service we are calling as EGOS. That's what we had. Now then we started working on additional services. We brought in another service called Business Growth Alliance, BGA, or Business Growth Alliance. Now, what Business Growth Alliance does is it's a service purely focused on self-employed people. It's a 12-week hardcore training, and in this training we have 48 hours. Basically, it's demanded 24 hours of teaching time, 24 hours of training of the mentorship and coaching time. And in this session, we go all out. We're talking about how we can put together a business plan. We talk about how we can work with the marketing, with the sales strategy, all these things we do. And most important, the challenge part of this Business Growth Alliance part is we put together something called as 90-day challenge. And our desire, our hope is, and our commitment to all those who are in the program is in 90 days, you should be able to 3x your business. You should be on tone to 3x your business, if not at least 3x the investment that you put in. Well, it's a big challenge, big task, but that's the program that we put in. So and this was a program that we had multiple cohorts. It ran very well. We had clients from Australia, we had clients from all over the country, but right now we are focusing on the 20-mile radius. How can we grow all the small businesses? We want to become the champions in this, local champions in the business growth. And that's the entire focus. We have another program called as CGA, or Corporate Growth Alliance, where you are bringing in 5 to 6 people from one company, focus on them and help them grow. So what we're doing, even in this time of agility with the ambiguity, we are trying to put together a program that has multiple choices. And those multiple choices, we're putting different programs. We cannot focus purely on corporate. Now we started focusing on the self-employed. And that's what is going to help us grow. And that is what we're looking at. How can you grow your business? You have to be more agile. Friends, it is the age of entrepreneurs. It is a time for you to thrive. It is a time for you to grow. You have tremendous advantage. You have tremendous opportunity. You see, sorry, I stopped it by mistake. That's okay. I'll come back to the slide. You have tremendous opportunity to thrive. Hey, if anybody has a question, please post it now as we're speaking. You have tremendous time to thrive. I want to encourage you, and we all want to build a business that is sustainable. A business that is sustainable, right? It's, of course, we want to be sustainable in every possible way. And when I say sustainable, it's something that we're not depending on outside money. We want to have, we don't need to focus on funding, right? What we really want to do is focus on solving human needs, build a program that will solve human needs, and we'll have enough customers who will be willing to pay for it. Right? That's what all the businesses that we're working on, that's what it's all about, right? And beauty of doing business is to create a gooder service, right, that somebody wants, and they pay you more than what it costs you to generate or to create. And that's your margin, and that's where you're growing. Your business, you are called for success. This is your time. This is your era. Do not lose or give up on your hope just because the news or somebody else says something else. Yes, economics says recession is coming, but I want you to know, after the big company, this is also an era of entrepreneurs. This is your time. You need right focus. With the right focus, with the right support, there is so much you can grow. And before I move on, is there any question, any comments from what we said so far? Oh, how I love to talk to myself. All right. Beth says that, and you need to find your right audience, absolutely, or client. That. So it says yes. Well, Beth, you're right. You need to find your right audience and clients, right? And that's all we are working on, or that's the challenge that all the business owners are working on. And as we build ourselves up, as we build our businesses, as we start promoting excellence, as we start promoting, that's the term, right? Excellence and showcase. It's a right breakthrough. With the right one or two clients, you will see you will go to a different level. And that mindset, that exact mindset is what the reason why, people many times, they don't strive, they just give up very easily. And that's exactly what causes them. Oh, did I stop my PowerPoint? Or is that what happened? Well, let me just see if I can just go back to, it looks like I stopped the presentation mode. Here we go. Okay. So let me start sharing my screen. Again, so it looks like I stopped. Sorry. Share screen, and here you go. Share. Oh. Okay. You remember this slide? Okay, now you will see it.
Can't see it.
I am in my past life, I was an IT professional. So you would know I know how to do a PowerPoint slideshow, right? So that's where it just all comes to. In this, with all this VUCA time, it's an era of entrepreneur. What will make a difference is our belief and our assumption. This belief and assumptions is what's going to make a difference. And that's what's going to come in. And we just as in this era, as a strategic leader, you will have to bring clarity to the VUCA world of your business. You will have to go beyond the fog. You will have to define your vision. You will have to define the end state. And as you build it, as you build your goal, as you define your end state, you will see that things will turn up very nice for you. And that's where we are, and that's the age of entrepreneur. So I want to thank you all for your time. And as I said, if you submit your question, we have a raffle. The questions that you submit, we will be looking into those questions. And I guess I did not see any questions submitted. So we will definitely address those questions. If you submit it, we'll send on the email, but also you will have the opportunity to win this assessment. We are doing a workshop tomorrow, which will be doing a little more deeper dive on this. It will be held in Bethel at Workspace City. I don't know if you are familiar or seen that place, Workspace City. It's in the 16 Trowbridge Drive in Bethel. A beautiful facility. And at 4 p.m., 4 to 6 p.m., we're going to do a deeper dive, an interactive session on how we can grow as our business and in this VUCA world. So I would like to invite you for that. And I just hope to see you all at that event. So once again, I want to thank you all for this time. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Bert. Thank you, Bill, for this opportunity. Thank you, SCORE, for the opportunity. I hope this was a value add. Should you have any question, please feel free to shoot me an email at filson@alc.services. Thank you. And let's grow. Let's grow. This is our age of success. Over to you.
Thank you, Filson. I'd also like to thank the Monroe Chamber of Commerce and the Monroe Library in planning this webinar with SCORE. As a reminder, a recording of this webinar and the materials will be available within a couple of days on the fairfieldcounty.score.org website. Please check our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, for information on upcoming webinars. Again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on the screen or visit our website and click Request a Mentor. We are available for sessions via phone, email, or video. Also, please fill out your evaluations that will be sent at the end of the webinar. On behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's live webinar. And in closing today, a big thank you to Filson for presenting, and have a nice rest of your day, everyone.